Hi, welcome to Messier Mantra. I'm your host, Mike Messier. On this episode, we have a very special guest. She's a filmmaker, an artist, and a writer. Her name is Geena Matuson, and right now let's take a look at her short film, Ice Cream for Breakfast, right here on Messier Mantra.
In heaven, you could do anything you want.
So we can eat ice cream for breakfast?
Yeah, and pizza. You can eat all the ice cream and pizza you want in heaven.
Wow.
What's it like?
What?
What's heaven like?
I think you could see everyone, but they can't see you.
How do you know?
Well, I don't see any ghosts in the sky, so it has to be true.
I can eat ice cream over your head and you can't see me?
Yeah, but would they see the ice cream?
I don't think so.
You're it.
What do you say?
Thank you. When I'm dead, I'm going to eat ice cream for breakfast.
Why when you're dead?
Tommy told me you can do anything you want when you're dead. Like eat pizza and ice cream for breakfast.
Well, he said that? Well, you can have ice cream for breakfast when you're a teenager too. And that's gonna happen a lot sooner than if you...
I don't know about that.
What does that mean?
I found Daddy's gun. I found Daddy's gun.
What do you plan on doing with that gun?
So I can eat all the ice cream I want. Chocolate's my favorite.
That was Ice Cream for Breakfast here on Messier Mantra. At this time, it's my very special Messier moment to introduce our guest, Geena Matuson.
Hi, thank you for
Geena.
having me.
It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, this is exciting.
I've known you for about a year and a half, and
Yeah.
I saw through social media some of your artwork, some of your modeling, because you do modeling as well.
Yeah.
And your films and your website, which we can mention, Geena Matuson. .com, and spell your last name for the people.
Oh, it's spelled Matuson.
So it's Geena.
Oh, yes. Geena Matuson. Geena, like Geena Davis, I was named after.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a great actress.
Yeah, I know.
And so if people want to check out further after our show, GeenaMatuson.com.
Yeah.
And speaking of acting, we just watched Ice Cream for Breakfast, and I've seen this film a couple of times. It's very intense.
Yeah.
And as people just saw with the kind of surprise ending involving the child and the gun, you know, and it's what I like about it is like a Hitchcock film. You don't see what happens, but you hear it, and you are left to your own, you know, vivid imagination.
Yes, exactly.
Tell us about how this film Ice Cream for Breakfast came to be, Geena.
Well, I was actually in school for film. I went to Mass Art, and this was something I thought of putting together while I was I was working on my thesis film, wanted something else to film while I was editing, and I started thinking back to childhood experiences because I thought, why not?
Right.
I don't really know what prompted it, but the conversation right in the beginning of the film is actually a conversation I had.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of creepy when you see it on film.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to tell you that it was actually a very pleasant conversation back when I was in preschool. Ironically, we used to take field trips to the cemetery.
Right.
That's where I had this conversation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a simple conversation, and I thought, how can I twist this into something creepy?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that bothers me more than you have a happy story, conflict, and then it resolves and everyone's still happy.
Right.
It's like, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give people kind of a little twist.
Yes.
You know, I try to think of what they would never think of. And then I pull back a little because if they do the same thing, they'll already get the ending.
Right.
What would I never think of? Oh, that's where she's going. Nah, I pull it back. So.
I like it. And to me, the film is engaging, and it's, I want to use the word treacherous for some reason.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it just came to me here on Messier Mantra. Speaking of mantra, sometimes with guests I forget, but I want to get this going right away.
Sure, sure.
Geena Matuson, what is your personal mantra that you want to share with the show, with the show's audience?
Sure, sure. Well, I've actually had the same mantra since high school maybe, and it is the more I do now, the less I have to do later.
Okay.
And of course, if you're constantly doing things now, there's never really a later. You take breaks when you want, but you're always doing things. You're constantly creating new things, so not only do you maybe finish things ahead of time, you could just create more. You just constantly create. It really doesn't stop. It's pretty cool.
What I like about you as a professional is that you are always learning new things. And you share with me like kind of an electronic magazine, you know, that you had created. And what I was impressed by was you said that I learned
Yes.
the graphic template or the design procedure in a week or two.
Yep. I learned Adobe InDesign in 1 week.
Yeah.
And then I also created that magazine I sent you.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is on the magazine it's titled Geena Matuson, A Legend is Born.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, because when I first became aware of your work through, you know, like I said, social media, I was like, this girl's got a lot of stuff going on, and it's all high quality, and it's all presented on the website in a very, you know, slick, professional way, which is still attainable to the audience. You know, and it's not so far gone that, you know, myself would be like, oh, how do I manipulate this website? So you kind of keep in mind the, you know, average user is going to be using this website and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I keep usability in mind because I've been actually working as a freelance web designer. So I figure presentation's important if I'm marketing the fact that I make websites too.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, because these days almost everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people do have websites.
Yeah.
And you're in that market to help people with their websites. What's that like?
Well, I realized 3 things pretty recently. I love to teach. I love constantly creating things. and I like working with completely new media all the time, as opposed to, you know, years of the same images or the same thing over and over. You know, sometimes you run out of your own ideas, or you're just like, I'm kind of tired working with myself.
Right.
You know, so actually I was in my dentist's office 2 years ago, maybe 3. I mentioned I was graduating. He said his wife was a painter, needed a website. Would you help her? I said, okay. So that's when I made the first website. I thought, oh, I really like doing this. I like showing her, you know, how to edit it herself, and pretty simple. Well, for me, because I make them. But I really love organizing.
Okay.
I always tell people this, and you know, so they give me all their materials, and I figure out, because I love this part, how to organize this into this category and this over here, and how to edit, you know, this paragraph so it fits well with this content, and I just really enjoy that.
Would that be considered left brain?
I don't know.
Organization?
I am told, well, my mom tells me that I'm both really analytical and also very creative.
And I was going to say
course,
something
yeah.
like that.
It's my mom, but
Well,
true.
Yeah, it is true, because I've experienced your organizational skills and also your creative skills, and that's a winning combination. Because a lot of people, especially artists, will have the creativity. You know, I can write 20 scripts, blah 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 blah, but they can't organize those same notions or scripts,
Right.
or, you know, photographs, whatever their medium is,
Right.
and it gets to be. You have so many people out there that I think are undiscovered raw talent, and unfortunately they don't have, you know, their act together, so to speak.
And it's true, and a lot of them want to learn that, and it's really hard for them. They don't know where to start. So you think, oh, I go to school for it. So I was in film school. They didn't teach that.
Right, right.
You make the film. Now what? How do we export it? How do we send it to festivals? That was something I learned on my own.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No,
it can be hard.
talking about segueing a little bit, you brought some of your graphics,
Yeah.
what am I trying to say, art,
Yeah.
that we're going to see on screen. So they're going to edit that in for us. And tell us about your art. Tell us about your visual art.
Well, I've been drawing my whole life. I went to school for illustration initially, kind of let that fade away, but I still love doing digital art, anything, just color, manipulating things, you know. So I've actually been working on a collaboration with a painter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's actually, I think, the images I brought, the
Yes.
digital art from this collaboration. Pete Rogers, he's a painter in Nahant. He contacted me January, maybe?
Right.
And he said he'd been following both my artwork and my modeling work for a year before he contacted me. Didn't know if I'd be interested in modeling for him. So he sent me his work, amazing oil paintings. I said, sure.
Yeah.
And then right away we talked about having a collaboration. So as opposed to just modeling for him and he paints me, I model for him and he paints me, but he also provides me with the photographs
Right.
that he uses, and then I edit them into
Nice.
these like really awesome, obviously I think they're awesome, I made them, you know, digital art pieces. And we're planning on gallery shows, and just, I think this collaboration can just be endless.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I sense your enthusiasm about that collaboration with Mr. Rogers. That's really cool.
Oh, Mr. Rogers. I've never thought about
No, I just thought.
Right.
So, Mr. Pete Rogers.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely. That's great.
Yeah.
And what I like about a lot of things you're doing, Geena, is like you're not afraid, and you're eager to take on this new world, and also have one foot in the traditional world of, you know, visual painting and poetry.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy your poetry as well.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and so I think that's for people who are coming up through the artistic world, they have, as you're doing, you have to be a master of all these mediums.
Yeah.
And they're changing so rapidly, and you're really a good person to work with, because you know where this stuff is going, right?
Yeah. Most of my family has been in marketing and communications since I've known them, you know.
Right.
I'm 25, so I think it's kind of an interest that runs in the family.
Right.
And knowing how to use the internet to your advantage is probably the best thing you can do.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people, like I said, they're not taught, once you create a film, what do you do with it?
Right.
Right, and they're not taught, you have to like show them to people
Yeah.
in order to be seen. So that's one of those things you learn.
By trial and error. And my own experience with film is that it's very, you can spend 2, 3, 4 years making a film, or a year, you know, and then you have a very, very short window to really get that thing to hit somewhere, or even just mild ripple in the ocean, because when you put your year, say you made a film in 2013, by 2016, those festivals don't really want it.
Right.
They don't even want to watch it.
Right.
It could be a great film, but because, you know, that festival season, 1 or 2 festival seasons have come and gone, your film is no longer current, or, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. So one little trick I did was we made a short film and we kept the year off of it. So we made it last week. You know?
Nice.
Tell us more about your views on the world. Let's just give me something here.
My views on the world.
Yeah.
Can we get a little more specific?
Well, what do you think of your contemporaries? Because you mentioned your age. You're literally in your mid-20s.
Yep.
And, you know, people talk about this generation, that generation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You have, you're kind of on the upper, you know, end of the curve there as far as people who are in touch with the internet, marketing, art. Do you feel that your colleagues, people in the same age group, do they need some help, or what do you, or is everyone your age kind of really kicking butt, or?
Right. I think it's actually hard for me to grasp, because you can look at like a girl who starts out at 17 posting photos of her outfits every day on a blog.
Right.
And then by the time she's 21, she has figured out how to have all these different social media sites, a website. She's you know, getting money basically by modeling for independent clothing brands now, because she's so recognizable as a fashion blogger. And it's just, I guess you really have to know you have to know how to market your product to the right, you know, niche of people,
Right.
where it goes. I think that can be the hardest thing to begin with, because you have to make sure those people see it. And how do you get their attention when you're just starting out? You're nobody.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, there are a lot of people my age that I know that no one else knows. And then there are a lot of people my age that I don't know that everyone else knows.
Right, right, right.
So, I guess that's not a very, it's a vague answer, I guess. But
Well, it was a vague question on my part, but what interests me so much about what you're doing is it's almost like you're this celebrity in the making, you know, that has
Okay.
a lot of potential to reach a bigger audience. And I think it's almost like just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, just keep building on these experiences and on this art and on maybe the most important thing is what you're doing so well is reaching people, you know, so that's great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I would love to keep going and growing.
What are some of your goals, short-term and long-term, Geena?
My biggest goal in life has always been write books.
Okay.
So that's my like end goal. That's also my short term. That's my always goal.
Okay. Okay.
And short term, I guess I would say work more on my digital art, get into more gallery shows. I actually have a gallery show coming up that 2 of those pieces will be in.
Nice.
October 9th in Boston.
Nice.
The makeover show, so that's exciting.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I guess my goal is to just keep meeting people and sharing my work, and then hopefully people will go, oh wow, I want to work with you, and then just keep building through collaborations, really.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the book or series of books, and as writers, sometimes you want to share a little bit, sometimes you don't want to share anything at all.
Right,
Is there
right.
anything you would like to share with the Messier Mantra audience about your book themes? Or?
Oh, sure. I don't have anything, written or off the top of my head, but themes I can do.
Sure.
When people ask me what my work, the genre, I never know if it's young adult or whatever. So I just tell them that it's surreal. I say if I had to define it, I don't know if I would call it fiction or fantasy. Like, I mean, it's obviously fiction. I mean,
Right.
But I would definitely say surreal. All my work is surreal. It deals with time and paradoxes and complicated things that I dream about, then I wake up and I have to decipher, like, whoa, that was mind-blowing. I wish I thought of it. Oh, I did. That was a dream I had.
Right.
And my thought has always been, if you take a realistic situation and you change just one element to make it fantastic, you can make the fantastic surreal. You just change that one element and suddenly it's not fantasy, it's surreal. There's
Nice.
an underlying kind of tension of, what?
Going back to ice cream for breakfast, if I'm catching the theme here, in the film, not a book obviously, but in Ice Cream for Breakfast, you have that reality of the kids talking, and then you have that treacherous, as I said, ending.
Yeah.
Would that be an example of what you're speaking of?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. I also really like when viewers or readers or, people, when they look at my work or they read it and they just inform it for themselves. As much as I love coming up with those like really artsy, artist statements, oh, this really means this.
Right.
As much as I have ideas about what I'm doing, of course, there's always, I just love hearing the really in-depth analysis I get from everyone else.
Right.
It's so interesting, and it's all influenced by their own life.
Right.
That's what I love about it. It's almost like psychology.
Did you ever study psychology? 'Cause
No.
Okay.
But that would be cool.
Yeah. It'd be interesting for you to take some psychology elements but I think Ice Cream for Breakfast has that. But
Yeah.
I mean, even further, more art with the psychology.
Yeah, well, I've definitely thought about it, maybe for a graduate degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, because you went to Mass Art, have you thought about doing the grad school?
I have. I do want to.
Yeah.
But I don't yet because I have no idea what I want to do. There's
Right.
like 10 things I want to do.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, hold off till you have a real,
Right.
because you don't want to get in there and be like, undecided.
Right.
You want to know your deal. And I was going to say before, you mentioned some of the things that you like, aspects of teaching and creativity. Those are huge things. Was there a third thing, teaching creativity? I know you're teaching the lady how to use the website.
I like teaching. I like constantly creating new things. If I didn't say a third one, I guess I could just say I like working with people.
You did say that.
Oh,
My
okay.
fault.
No.
But I like that because a lot of people in the creative world are, believe it or not, introverts.
Yeah.
And they're that shy, resilient, or not resilient, kind of in that cave, like I'm going to do my little, thing here, and then don't bother me, and don't read my work. And they might be sitting on a great piece of poetry or a great book, or a great, film, whether it's a short or a feature, but they don't want anyone to see it.
Right.
And for me, as a filmmaker and a writer, I get frustrated with some of these folks because it's almost like you have to drag them out of the cave.
Right.
And what like I said, keep repeating things I like about your work and your professionalism is that you're not afraid to share and kind of put yourself out there, and whether it's praise or criticism, it's always the competitor in the field of battle, sweaty and broken, that whole metaphor deal, and you're willing to go there, aren't you?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because as much as I share a lot of my work, my writing is something I keep very secure.
Right.
Because whereas a film, you can easily say, no, I made that, like you have the proof. With writing on a page, anyone can just kind of take it and run with it.
Right.
So my goal has always been compile and then form one solid piece, edit it, find an agent, publish. That has always been my goal. And it's funny because I am not good at doing one thing at a time.
Okay.
I have to do like 10 things at once. So what was it? It must have been like 6 years ago. I decided, oh, I'm going to organize my flash drive of all my writing. Okay, that took 2 years.
Right.
Then, on top of that, I also took the time, now I found all these short, scary stories. I'll edit them, and I'll put them together, and I'll copyright them, and then I'll find an agent, and okay, all that stuff.
Right.
Then I thought, well, if I'm going to edit these, I might as well edit these. So then welcome to the last 4 years
Wow.
where I've, organized, edited, So that's why I'm just sitting on it right now.
One method, and just an idea,
Yeah.
you can think about it perhaps, is hit big with your visual art or your films or modeling with Mr. Rogers, Mr. Pete Rogers. One of those things when they come through for you. And then when they say, well, Geena, what else do you have for us? Boom, I got this anthology of my writings.
Yeah.
You know, and that might be a way to kind of put that anthology of your writings, if it is going to be an anthology or a novel or a book of poems or short stories or whatever you come up with, kind of have that as your like secret weapon, like your secret bomb of creativity.
Yeah.
And then when something else kind of gets that segue, you know, maybe you can hit them up with that.
Well, that's actually, it's funny you say that because I kind of, when you think about marketing yourself, a lot of people don't think about how they're coming across. So if they present themselves with one piece of work and become popular for that piece, and that's not really the kind of work they're interested in, they're kind of setting themselves up to, everyone's going to want to see them create more of that work. Will they care about the other work they're doing? I don't know. They don't know. I mean, it's like being typecast.
Right.
Right. So I'm trying to think about what would be good first.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to keep creating, of course, the visual art, the films, but as far as the writing, I'm always like, oh, what should I send out first? Should it be this scary story collection? Should it be this weird sort of like, what is it, stream of consciousness, like introverted story between these two people, you know, the relationship? Should it be this very subtle story about a boy and his friends in the summer? I don't know. I still don't know.
What I know is that it's been a great episode. We're going to have you back on another episode.
Oh, sure.
But we come to the end of this one.
Oh, okay.
Geena
Well,
Matuson.
thank you.
Thank you, Geena.
Yeah, thanks.
We've reached the end of our first episode with Geena Matuson. We'll see you again on the Messier Mantra.